En el centro de la pampa vive un pimiento. Sol y viento pa' su vida, sol y viento. Sol y viento pa' su vida, sol y viento.
Hello, I'm Patrick Barnard. Welcome to the 76th edition of the Pimento Report. Bonjour, c'est Patrick Barnard. Bienvenue à la 76e édition du Piment. It's the 8th of May 2014. We're at the annual General Assembly of the Green Coalition of Montreal. It should be a very interesting evening. Ce soir, c'est l'Assemblée annuelle générale de la Coalition Verte de Montréal. Ça sera très, très intéressant. On va voir des gens impliqués. Et en plus, M. Jérôme Duprat, des Cowboys fringants.
Bonjour, bienvenue. Thank you all for coming.
Oui, venez-vous-en. Venez-vous-en. Donc, Jérôme Duprat est membre fondateur des Cowboys fringants et président de la Fondation Cowboys fringants. Jérôme est titulaire d'un doctorat en géographie de l'Université de Montréal et aujourd'hui chercheur au post-doctorat au département de biologie de l'Université McGill.
Donc, premièrement, un petit contexte, pourquoi on parle de ceinture et trame verte, parce qu'on est dans des milieux où il y a de forts arbitrages. On a besoin on a une demande spatiale pour du développement résidentiel, il y a des activités agricoles très importantes, l'agriculture de proximité qui a toujours défini la grande région de Montréal. On veut faire de la conservation pour des milieux naturels, on veut avoir des espaces d'accessibilité. Tout ça dans une contrainte spatiale quand même limitée, la grande région de Montréal. La clé là-dedans, c'est vraiment l'écoute, l'intégration de l'ensemble des arbitrages et compromis qui caractérisent notre territoire urbain. Donc, d'avoir quelque chose, une ceinture et trame verte qui soit dans un modèle d'adaptation et de flexibilité.
Vous avez expliqué très clairement un ceinture verte pour Montréal, mais au même temps, on est devant une espèce de blocage politique maintenant à Montréal. Comment voyez-vous l'avenir dans les années à venir?
En fait, je pense que on a beaucoup de travaux scientifiques qui nous disent comment devrait être planifié ce réseau-là. Donc, on est capable de voir par la science écologique, biologique, forestière, comment ce réseau devrait se dessiner. Donc, je pense que la suite, c'est vraiment au niveau de la planification du territoire et de la volonté politique. Donc, ça prend une vision globale. Je pense qu'il y a un rôle à jouer par les leaders de la grande communauté métropolitaine de Montréal, par le gouvernement du Québec, de dire ce réseau-là, en fait, si ça nous coûte quelque chose en termes d'efforts, d'argent à l'instaurer aujourd'hui, parce que ce ne sera pas une mince tâche, c'est peut-être la meilleure chose qui peut arriver pour Montréal dans 20, dans 30, dans 50 ans. Donc peut-être de faire l'effort aujourd'hui pour s'adapter et déjà prévoir les impacts des changements futurs, que ce soit des changements climatiques, des espèces exogènes qui arrivent.
I think you've been with the Green Coalition from the very beginning.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What do you think has been accomplished over the last generation?
Quite a lot was accomplished in the beginning, but I think now we're at a standstill and there's a lot more to do. With changing of the government all the time, we have to re-educate and start all over again. So it's been a formidable fight, really. So, but we're hopeful.
The politicians seem to be more interested in development than they are in protecting certainly the green spaces that we have left on the island and around the island.
I wonder if Mr. Denis Coderre knows that Montreal Island and the southwest of Quebec has the highest amount of biodiversity in the province. Do you think he's even aware of that?
I doubt it. I doubt it very much. I doubt if, I think that's one of the big problems that we have. I don't even know if they understand what biodiversity is. That's probably my thinking anyway.
The City of Montreal publicly committed itself to the Convention on Biodiversity and achieving certain targets by 2020. Can we hold Mayor Coderre and other officials to that public declaration, do you think?
Well, I think we should try to. I don't know if it'll be successful, but that's certainly the intention of the Sierra Club.
There are several noteworthy things that happened at the 2014 Annual General Assembly of the Green Coalition. The first thing concerned the degree of worry among the delegates to the meeting about what is called the Montreal Contradiction. Montreal is very good in terms of its language. It's committed itself to a metropolitan plan and a green and blue belt here. It's also committed itself to preserving significant portions of green space. And yet, at the end of March, the Executive Committee of the City of Montreal cut $17 million from its own program of acquisition and protection of green spaces. On May 1st at City Hall, one of the people who was at the Annual General Assembly, Sylvia Olliamark, went to the Agglomeration Council of the City of Montreal and asked the Mayor, Coderre, and the City Executive about this contradiction. We're just going to look at a tiny bit of an interview done with Sylvia Olliamark on May 1st, a week before the Annual General Meeting. Sylvia Olliamark, you published an article in today's Gazette saying that Montreal needs a Coderre green plan. You questioned the mayor just a few moments ago. What do you think happened this afternoon here at City Hall?
I have the feeling that he doesn't quite have the same vision as we do. He doesn't understand that all those yellow spots on the eco-territory maps means that those are unprotected natural spaces that are now at risk because this program is kind of stalled. Montreal is the best of places and the worst of places when it comes to green space. Was that your sense here tonight, that once again we see the Montreal contradiction? Indeed, yes, because Mr. Copeman answered some questions and so did Mr. Coderre. They keep repeating this mantra about reaching the 6% target. Well, that's a very worn-out target, and it should be well up above that by now. The international targets for cities like ours are at 17%, so we're way down on. So here we are, the annual general meeting, 26 years in the Green Coalition. What do you think this year? What's your thoughts right now?
Right now, we're going to have work to do to, I think, re-educate the new administration at City Hall, what natural spaces are all about, and why we've been doing this for 26 years.
The triennial budget of $36 million for the protection and acquisition of green spaces has had $17 million taken away by the Montreal administration. Is there a possibility of perhaps changing their minds about that?
I'm not sure that we can change their mind about the money, but we can change their attitudes to the actual protection of natural spaces. And I think that they'll see that there's lots left to do on that agenda, and that they're going to have to bring resources to bear.
The second thing that happened at the annual general meeting of the Green Coalition this year was the awarding of prizes for environmental efforts. The first went to an extraordinary person called Glenn Garner. He couldn't be there because he was in a bicycle accident earlier this year going to work. But David Fletcher, the vice president of the Green Coalition, awarded the prize to Glenn while he is getting better.
This year, the great privilege falls to me to present the Green Coalition Environmental Award to one of our most dedicated and deserving volunteers. Glenn Garner has given our cause the unselfish gift of his time and the lavish offering up of his myriad skills through the last decade.
The other person to get an award this year was Campbell Stewart of Les Amis de Meadowbrook. Campbell Stewart is the former mayor of Montreal West and a lawyer. He made a very important point at this meeting. He said, it is time to stop going on the defensive, to talk about a fund for the defense of the environment. We need to build a fund, a legal fund, which will take the offense, which will go after the people who are actually damaging the environment in Montreal and elsewhere.
Présenter notre prix de l'environnement pour cette année. On a 2 personnes à Campbell Stewart.
T'as 30 secondes.
We're really in trouble. I think everybody understands that we're really in trouble. The climate change is going to finish us off. The acidification of the oceans is proceeding apace, and that may be first. Okay, that may be the first thing that finishes off. And we and people like us constantly win the fights. Constantly. We make briefs, we attend, we get promises, we get reports, we get recommendations, we get promises, yes. Electoral promises. And what happens? We lose the war. We're losing a war. And I think that if I had anything really useful to say tonight, it would be ask the question, how are we going to stop losing the war? And I think that there's a very simple answer to that. It's power. I think it's really power. How do we get power? For the right reasons, for preservation of the species, how do we take power away from the people who currently have power? That is to say, the people who exploit the environment for their own personal gain, who have bought governments and continue to bully governments with threats of lawsuit if you don't let me build on your property. I think we have to figure out how to take political power. There are many ways to do that, but I think that's really one of the things we have to do. The other thing we have to do is we have to use legal tools. I'm a lawyer, and it's very clear to me that unless municipal officials, let's just take Montreal, the Montreal area, the CMM, and you take the PMAD, and you see that the PMAD has the force of law, well, who's paying attention to the PMAD?
No one.
None of the people who signed it, they all signed it. Every mayor of every municipality on the territory of the CMM signed on, yeah, let's do it. And what are they doing now? They're being threatened with lawsuits. Maybe they even want to build on these places, but if someone threatens them with lawsuits, they run away. And I've seen it happen over, and I'm sure you have too. It's very disappointing. So, I'm almost done. I'm almost done. I think the way to hold people to account is to sue them. So there is Campbell Stewart with his message to the environmental movement. The only way to hold people to account is to sue them. What he means, I think, is that he's going to begin creating that fund for legal activism for environmentalists. I think it's going to be centered on the PMAD, the Plan Métropolitain d'Aménagement et de Développement, and that is something that I believe we can look forward to in the coming year. Alors voilà Monsieur Campbell Stewart avec son message pour le mouvement. Osons les citoyens commencer à litiger le PMAD. So that was something that came out of this meeting, very interesting. There's a second thing. At the end of this June 2014, Mr. David Fletcher, the Vice President of the Green Coalition, and Sylvia Ollimark, whom you've seen in this video, will be having a meeting with the Mayor of Montreal, Monsieur Denis Coderre, and they will be talking about these environmental issues. That is a very good thing. Alors, la dernière chose, Monsieur David Fletcher, que vous avez vu dans cette vidéo, et Sylvia Ollimark de la Coalition Verte, eux, ils vont parler avec le maire de Montréal, Monsieur Denis Coderre, à la fin de juin, sur ces questions de l'environnement. Alors, au revoir maintenant pour le Piment. C'est Patrick Barnard ici. À la prochaine. This is Patrick Barnard for the Pimento Report saying goodbye for now.
Viento lo vigilan, luna y viento. Cuando sus ramas florecen, es un incendio.